Hello, and welcome back to my channel, where we discuss all things etiquette. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend if you're enjoying the content. In our last video, we talked about communication. We talked about how to properly introduce yourself to strangers, introducing yourself with your government name or your birth name, and not a street name or a nickname. We also talked about volume when, in certain situations, like a football or a basketball game, you may be in need of an elevated volume when you speak so that the people you're with can hear you. But that same volume is not needed when you're at a five-star restaurant. Remember, we said when you're out at a restaurant, sometimes, depending on the type of restaurant, it may be a little noisy, but the entire section doesn't need to hear your conversation. Only the people in your dinner party or at your table. Okay? So today we're going to talk about pronunciation of words and its importance in communication. Communication involves the speaking of words, receiving what you hear. You use your mouth, your tongue, and your vocal cords to pronunciate words correctly. Have you ever heard someone speak and they may have the proper volume for the environment you're in, but you still can't understand what they're saying? Or have you ever heard someone say a person is speaking with a lazy tongue? A lazy tongue is basically saying the person is not speaking and utilizing the tongue properly. Your consonants are spoken with the front of the tongue. Your vowels are spoken with the back of the tongue. I used to hear older people would say, SSTs and INGs, always pronunciate the endings of your words. Don't drop the endings of your words. The English language and other languages use two different types of speech. You have a tonal and a non-tonal. Your vowels are spoken at the back of the throat. And sometimes when people speak, they don't open the back of the throat. They don't open the mouth wide enough to be able to formulate the words clearly. That means the person they're speaking to cannot hear what they're saying well. They may have the volume, but they don't have the structure formed with the mouth to pronunciate the word correctly. Here's a perfect example, and most of the time I hear this with younger people. They drop the endings of words. And a good example of that, I think, would be the INGs, nut in, nut in. The word is nothing, THING, nothing. Put the tongue between the teeth to pronounce the TH sound. That's the TH blend, that consonant blend. Now, if a person has a speech impediment, that's one thing, but we're not speaking on that. We're speaking in regards to someone who doesn't have a speech impediment. If a person has had vocal lessons, speech lessons, not a speech class because they're not speaking well, but speech lessons for a person to be able to speak well in front of an audience, or if they've had vocal lessons, choir, they are taught to speak with an open mouth. Meaning this, sometimes you'll see people and they talk like this, and they'll barely part their lips and they're barely opening their teeth. They're not utilizing the tongue at the top, the roof of the mouth, and between the teeth. And so when you're learning to speak properly, when you're taking vocal lessons, you're taught to speak with an open mouth. That helps the airflow when you are talking. Yes, your airflow comes from your diaphragm. It doesn't come from your throat. Your airflow, and it doesn't come from your chest. Your air comes from your diaphragm up. Have you ever noticed when you're lying down and you're speaking, it sounds different. When you're sitting and you're speaking, it sounds different. But when you're standing straight and you're getting good airflow from your diaphragm, you can project what you're saying a little more. So remember, your volume comes from your diaphragm. It does not come from your chest, and it does not come from your throat. Okay? Remember, when you are speaking, always respect the pause. What is the pause? The pause is when you are giving someone an idea. You don't run your thoughts together and you're not giving the other person a chance to process what you have said. Some people speak so fast, it's almost like they're speaking faster than they're thinking. And when you speak faster than you think, oftentimes you will hear fillers. What are fillers? Fillers are the and you know what I'm saying. No, we don't know what you're saying. So the pause is just what it says, a pause. You slow down, and in the pause, you give the other person the opportunity to process what you have said. And if you have asked a question, it gives the person a chance to process the question you have posed to them and helps them, give them a chance to come up with an answer or an idea. So remember your speed, your rate of speed in which you are speaking. Sometimes some people speak too slowly. Some people speak too fast. So you have to gauge your speech. Are you speaking too fast? Are you speaking too slow? Is your volume too low where people can't hear you well? Or do you speak so loudly it gives people a headache? You can go into a mirror in your bathroom and speak in the mirror. That helps people to speak better in front of others. Not necessarily a large audience, but just to gain confidence in when you speak. In front of a mirror, out loud, you see your reflection, you see yourself in the mirror, and you hear yourself. Another thing is reading. Yes, we've heard reading is fundamental, and it is. But if you get a book, practice reading aloud. You will be able to hear whether or not you are pronouncing the words correctly. You will be able to hear if you're dropping the endings of words. Are you honoring the comma? Are you honoring the period or the exclamation mark or the question mark? You see, there are different techniques that you can use at your home free of charge to help you with your communication. You just have to assess yourself to see where you need help. Now, a good thing to keep in mind is get rid of the slang and use proper standardized English. Proper standardized English allows everybody to understand what you're saying. regardless of where they're from and their race. Here in the United States, that is the language that most people use often. So, one thing that you can do is read more. Also, listen to other people who speak well. Where do you find those people? This is an assignment that I had in college, and I find myself still doing it. The assignment was two parts. Listen to the news. You're going to listen to local news and you'll listen to national news. That would be CNN, MSNBC. So you listen to your local news wherever you're located. Listen to your national news. You should be able to hear a difference. Where I'm located, you hear a southern drawl in your local news. But when you listen to MSNBC or CNN, you don't hear that. You shouldn't be able to tell where they're from unless they say it. And that is what you should strive to sound like when you're speaking. Very clear, very articulate. Okay? That was part of the assignment. The second part of the assignment was, and this is the part that I really loved, we were to find 3 famous people on television, in the movies, that we could just sit and listen to speak, regardless of the topic they were talking about. Now, the people that I chose was Felicia Rashad, Diane Carroll, and Tina Turner. Listen to how they speak. Listen to their verbiage. Listen to the words that they use. Study them. Study them. So Tina Turner was a singer, and she played in some movies. Diane Carroll was an actress, and everyone knows Felicia Rashad is an actress. You choose 3 people that speak well and watch them on television. Not if it's a music person, like I chose Tina Turner, you're not watching their videos, you're watching an interview because you want to hear her voice. You want to hear how she formulates words. You want to watch her body language also. So pick 3 people that you're just fascinated with when they speak. Pull it up on YouTube if it's a person that is older and deceased, and just watch their interviews. Listen to their voice. Listen to how they articulate. Listen for the pause. And see what you can take from that to improve your vocabulary, your speech. Now, today we only talked about pronunciation, S's, T's, and INGs, speaking from the back of the throat with an open mouth. And don't forget that those consonant, that TH consonant blend. Things, put that tongue between the teeth and speak clearly. But what I'm going to encourage you to do, find 3 people, famous people, who speak exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. No fillers, no slang, no dropping the endings of words. And watch interviews on YouTube, however you can watch them. And compare your speech to theirs. Remember, no 2 people are the same. But see what points you can take from their speech that you can incorporate into your life to better your speech, your pronunciation of words. Okay? Remember what we talked about today. We talked about your diaphragm. That is where your volume is coming from. It is not coming from your chest. It is not coming from the back of your throat. And in the next video, we will talk about speaking from the chest, and we'll talk about speaking from the back of the throat. We'll talk about a vocal fry when we meet again on the next YouTube video. So that is your assignment until we meet again, where we'll talk about all things etiquette.